The Queen of Navarre loved him. The Duke of Alençon relied on his counsel, yet he could not preserve his own life despite such high patronage. His life reads like an adventurous novel, and naturally, the most prolific author of the 19th century seized upon this tale. The character of Count Larac de la Mole from Queen Margot is quite different from his real-life counterpart, Joseph Boniface de la Mole. For starters, he was never a Huguenot, was nearly twice the age of the fictional character, and it's impossible to judge his appearance. Unfortunately, no portraits of him have survived. It is known that he was born in the first half of the 16th century to Seigneur Joseph de la Mole and Marguerite de Pontives. The title of Count was invented by the author of Queen Margot, as this Provençal nobleman, with his distinct melodic southern accent, came from a very modest family. Yet fate was kind to him. Upon entering royal service, La Mole earned respect for his loyalty, zeal, and bravery. It was said that he was wounded 3 times during the religious wars, and eventually became part of the retinue of King Charles IX's younger brother, François of Alençon. It's hard to say why François became so attached to La Mole. He was a full 29 years older than the prince. Perhaps it was a near-fatherly affection, considering François hardly knew his own father and his mother spoke ill of him. Or maybe he admired Joseph's military successes and his exceptional fencing skills. At court, it was said that Monsieur de la Mole excelled at 2 things, wielding a sword and charming women. Indeed, he was quite popular with the beauties of the court, and when necessary, he could deftly fend off the advances of their jealous husbands. Of course, there were malicious tongues, what would history be without them, that claimed there was a different kind of relationship between La Mole and François of Alençon. It's difficult to unravel the truth, especially given the customs of the 16th century. What is certain is that the prince trusted his friend immensely, valuing his opinion even above that of his mother, the Dowager Queen Catherine de' Medici. It was Joseph de la Mole who negotiated with Queen Elizabeth I of England regarding a possible marriage between her and François of Alençon. The highest grace. This handsome, well-dressed man with impeccable manners captured the heart of the Virgin Queen. So much so that later, English ambassadors requested her forgiveness for La Mole on her behalf. Naturally, La Mole caught the attention of Marguerite of Navarre. However, the story of the rescue during the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre does not pertain to him. The wounded Protestant was named de Levy, and it was indeed Queen Margot who protected him from the attackers. As for La Mole, a supporter of an entirely different faith, he was on the other side of the barricades. In fact, he was not in the capital at that time. He was in London. In the relationship between Marguerite and La Mole, politics and love were likely intertwined. Through her lover, the queen could exert influence over her younger brother. With Henry of Anjou, for instance, her efforts were less successful, as his favorites were not inclined to cooperate with Margot. As King Charles IX, suffering from tuberculosis, began to decline, a fascinating and multi-layered opposition emerged, with Monsieur de la Mole at its center. He became a crucial link between François of Alençon and Henry of Navarre, as well as between Turenne and Montmorency. It was clear that Charles wouldn't last long, and he had no legitimate heirs. The bastards from Marie Tusse were not considered. Henry of Anjou was about to take up the mantle as King of Poland. Soon, the vacant throne could go to François of Alençon, while Henry of Navarre would gain the freedom to act and rule, rather than puppet, power in Navarre. However, their plans were betrayed. The conspiracy failed, leading to arrests. Some sources mention the name Turt as a possible traitor, while others suggest that La Mole himself might have been the informant. The latter seems unlikely, as he was the one who suffered the most. Like many aristocrats of his time, La Mole consulted seers. The most renowned figure in Paris for this was Como Ruggieri. What did Joseph ask him? For the queen's love? For influence over the future king? Only a wax figurine with needles, found with La Mole, led to his conviction. The nobleman was deemed guilty of plotting against Charles IX. Both François of Alençon and Marguerite of Navarre pleaded for La Mole's life, but their requests were denied. The case involved princes who were supposed to remain untouchable. Essentially, La Mole was made the main culprit for the failed conspiracy. The execution took place. Much later, a Protestant book claimed that Marguerite of Navarre had embalmed her lover's head and kept it with her. Of course, proving this is not realistically possible. Was there an Annibal de Coconus, La Mole's best friend from the book, in this story? Yes, there was. He was also a real character who shared La Mole's fate and was under the patronage of the Duchess of Nevers, who mourned his death. Their names are also mentioned in a pamphlet from the early 17th century. Additionally, Shakespeare indirectly referenced La Mole. In his Henry VI, there is a character named the Marquis of Suffolk, the lover of Queen Margaret. His fate is quite similar. Naturally, this is with a nod to the era, as the narrative pertains to a different time altogether.